thinking about like too many variables there. It feels like Ryan, Winston, and Queen all benefit from this. Feels like, but we'll have to, I guess, wait and see. So,
Yeah.
Well, what got you interested in coaching? We'll start with that.
You remember when you made a video, I don't know, half a year ago or something, and asking for people to be your friend?
Yes.
And I was like, no, I don't want that. And so I was looking for something else. And I'd just been really into like educational content for a long while and figured that might be a different way to support you, but also get something out of it myself.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Also, wait a second. You know me from the coaching children segment.
Yeah. I was
Really?
really happy when I saw that question and I remembered, and then I looked it up and I watched all those videos again. Those were amazing.
I had such a good time. I'm actually still in touch with her. I get her graduation
wow.
picture, like middle school graduation pictures. I'm friends with her dad. Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
I've actually played Overwatch with her not too long ago. Obviously we don't do the coaching as much anymore. She's, she moves from game to game to game into game, like
Yeah.
kids. But she's like 12, 13 now, I think. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Time flies.
I know. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Okay, well let's take a look here. Now I guess in terms of like how long you've been playing Overwatch, I assume the answer is quite a long time. I guess the question is why tank in particular, and why particularly Winston?
I was thinking about this question and I couldn't quite remember. In the beginning, I was just flexing.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I remember that I decided I want to play some characters that are like useful to learn, like where I learn some skills. And I think I picked like Zarya for tracking, a Winston I think I chose for game sense, and then Ana for like aim and positioning, something like that. And then over time, it just became more and more Winston, and now I'm basically a one trick.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to win one trick any tank, it would probably be Winston. I think he's my favorite tank, one of my top 5 favorite characters. But why do you like him? It's a good choice. But what's your personal kick out of Winston?
He's just like fun.
Yeah.
I'm not really an aim guy. I never really played any other FPS before.
Same.
So that's nice. And the feeling of just winning against your opponents when they tried so hard to counter you and you still won.
Yep.
There's few things as good in life as that.
Yeah, it's really funny. There's like 2 types of people. There's the type of people that like won't play Winston because of that, and there's the type of Winstons that play that because of that. I'm kind of like you. I think it's a superiority complex.
Definitely. I don't think it's a complex. I think it's just a fact. But,
Yeah. I definitely, I'll go into quick play. This actually happened last week. I played a quick play game, Numbani. 3 hard counters instantly. Reaper, Bastion, Diva. What else did they get? What's something else? Anyway, so I just started piping off in match chat. I'm like, you guys are hard trying to, like, you guys are playing actively bad heroes on the map. And you're dying to my sniper backline because you're playing Reaper Bastion. And you're just in a quick play game. And so I just, and their DPS were like 3 and 9 or whatever. So I just keep typing more over and over again. It's just like, bro, just play. Like, to me, it's like, bro, you're actively like playing characters that you clearly don't want to play because you think that I'm dominating. I wasn't even dominating. I was just like doing normal Winston things, right? It's like, it's just
the worst
so dumb.
thing. Like I have games where I play Winston, and then first fight we lose, but some of them dies, and they still swap to a counter. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I legit think it's brain damage. I think it's content creator stuff. I think people talk about like, oh, you need to shoot the tank or focus tank and all these things. Like, oh, if you just counter swap the tank, you just automatically win. It's like, bro, you're in like silver, gold, plat, like diamond. Like, there's a reason that you're like. And the thing is, it kills me too. Is like I said earlier, they lost the game because they swapped because they were on like Soldier Genji on Numbani. It's like good DPS, right? And then we were playing like Soldier damage boosted and then like whatever, and they had like all these dive heroes, and they swapped to like countered Winston comps, which shockingly went really bad for them, right? Like the Reaper it was so easy for me to avoid them, and every time I'd mess up and die instantly, of course, they would just die to my Hanzo or die to my. I'm like, guy, like how stupid are you? Like, and people don't even consider the map, they don't consider the other backline. So it's like, I guess it's like survival of the fittest, but I think it's because it directly counters you. It's like this extra intensity to their stupidity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it feels personal.
Yeah, it really does. So, okay, well, I'm looking forward to this. I always love coaching Winston. Okay, so getting some answers to
Nice.
some of the questions and finding those mistakes / misunderstandings, which are important for me in the moment.
Yeah.
Actually,
So
improving is secondary. That's interesting.
yeah, so basically, I play this game for fun.
Yeah.
I don't, or at least I try to pretend I don't care about rank.
Yep.
But improving is fun for me,
Yeah.
and like working on myself. So
Yeah.
it's not about the result; it's about the process.
Yeah, I think it's also a little bit like one of the things that's like psychologically fun to know what you're doing wrong, or to know what you need to do better, or to
Yeah,
understand
I
the
realized.
game, even if you can't do it, to know, you know.
Yeah, a while ago, I was getting quite angry a few times at some games, and I realized it was because I didn't understand what I was doing wrong.
Yes.
If I know, like, oh yeah, I did that like badly, and like I fucked that up, then I can be like, yeah, that's fine. I've got something to work on. But if I feel like I'm playing perfect, then I
Yeah.
just start blaming other people, and that's just
Yeah,
not
yeah.
good for anyone.
I understand that. I understand. So you have a document. Do you want to share the document?
Sure. I mean, I don't think we have any real chance to get done with this, like
That's
ever.
fine. I just want to look at it.
Can
I just have
send
documents.
these-
I just have documents back in the day. I have documents for like book notes, but not for my heroes anymore.
1 second. There you go. Sending.
Wow, look at that. That is monstrous. So what was the initial reason behind starting this document? I can guess, but I'm curious.
I was watching like some VODs or some VOD reviews, and figured I'd just write down some stuff.
Is that the type of person you were before this, or is that the type of person, or this start you on the doc thing?
I was before, but it got worse.
Describe it like a symptom. That's great. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. So I guess like let's just before we get to your training schedule, especially because I doubt that we'll be changing your training schedule much anyway.
Yeah.
What do you feel like? What are some questions? What do you feel like? Did you want to go over? What did you want to discuss?
So I think the biggest thing I feel like is all the coaches lie to me. Um, so when I watch high level Winston gameplay,
Yeah.
I feel like they play decently different from what all the coaches say, or there's at least some differences.
Yep.
And when I try to implement that into my game, I just turbo feed and I don't get what the difference is.
Okay. So what do the players do differently than what the coaches say?
They go way more main. Like there's not so much like trying to find sneaky ways around.
Yep. Yeah.
And I feel like they're not as disciplined with not shooting tank. Like sometimes they just
I've
jump
noticed that as
forward.
well.
And,
As soon as you said that, I knew exactly what you're going to say. In fact, I have a person in mind, Boger. I went to the content. Well, go ahead. You finish your thought.
yeah, you know Winton?
Yeah.
He plays so much main and he's higher ranked than me.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some
why?
stuff about doing that I'm not doing correctly.
Sure. There is. There's lots of details and nuance, but there's also lots of mistakes as well. We could take a look at it. Now, one of the things that I notice a lot is that people will emphasize target priority instead of opportunity first. So in other words,
Yeah, definitely.
Winston is like a character that wants to dive squishies. Yes, of course. Like that like just doing that alone will get you to like gold or plat, right? But I think at a certain point, you also have to understand, okay, those squishies are no longer in a position to be dove. Like they are so far, and this tank is out of position. Can I trade with the tank? Let's do this. Let's Winton. Is it Winton? I've never seen his stream.
Yeah, it's just Winton.
Winton OW, or I need to find his stream here.
Let me check.
Underscore OW. I know the typical. Yeah, I think is it underscore OW? No.
Winton underscore OW2.
OW2. Okay. Got it. Do you want to look at one of his games?
Sure.
Maybe that.
I mean, he's not super high rank.
What is he like? Mid GM, low GM?
Not even. I think his peak is GM4, GM5.
Oh, okay. See, that's even lower.
But I looked at a Flats game the other day.
Yeah. Well,
it was
Flats. Flats isn't that good at tank or Winston, excuse me, either. Here's what I'll say: when you see somebody that's not as comfortable with Winston, but is generally like a higher ranked tank or higher ranked than you, a lot of what I've noticed with Winston players that are better that still focus tank too much is their mechanics are better than yours. I think that's a really underrated skill with Winston. And when I mean mechanics, I mean your ability to consistently melee cancel, your bubble dance, the ability to land on the targets, the ability to, ready for this, track properly.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Actually be able to lock down the target, and that's not even bringing up the primal rages as well. So let's look at maybe like one. We'll skim through at least maybe one Winston game. Here, let me
Sure.
start. Let me start the screen share here, so you can help me pick one out. And obviously, I don't know if there's going to be anything here that stands out, but maybe we can look at one. Like, do you want to look at this? Oh, this is a quick play game. What is he doing? We could look at a jib here. What do you think?
Yeah, when you said that, one more thing that so many people get wrong: there's no animation cancel on Winston, on the melee. It doesn't do more damage.
Oh, it doesn't do any more damage, but it conserves ammo.
Yeah, but so the animation cancel doesn't matter.
Well, the ammo conservation does matter. And
Yeah, so doing it does matter, but canceling the animation, like by landing with your jump, that doesn't.
Yeah. It's melee and then zapping because there's the delay either way. Yes.
Yeah, because while you're meleeing, you're not able to bubble.
Right.
So that is something that I've had situations where I tried doing the animation cancel, couldn't bubble in time, and then I was just standing there with like.
That's true. There's another tank out there. Maybe it's Winston who also really prioritizes the alt fire as well, which I really don't like. Like, I think alt fire is like really bad. I think it's okay if you have like a long jump, but you have to be able to zap as you're landing, otherwise you lose a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Let's. Do you want to look at the Gibraltar here, or do you want to find a different map?
No sense. I mean, let's start and then see.
Yeah.
I mean, this is quite a divey map, anyways.
Yeah. We can also turn up the speed a little bit here, considering we're just kind of like we're looking at the general approach here. So like this is the kind of stuff where it's like.
Yeah, there I would already say like, why the fuck is he there?
Well, let's see.
Like he took so much damage. Like jumping there, and then I would say drop immediately. He took like
what
300
rank are
damage.
you? The form you said Diamond 1.
I mean, by now I've climbed to like Masters 3.
Okay, so the gap between you and Winston is like really small.
True.
Right? So the gap between you and Winston is really small. The other thing as well is that this is by far the biggest factor I see when people come to me. There was a DPS player I coached a while ago, and he was convinced that like Metro was trash, and I didn't disagree with him. That's a joke. But the problem is that it's way easier to see Metro's mistakes, and it's way harder to see your own mistakes. So the problem is you go, why is this guy this high rank? Because I know better than that. But that's because you're judging your brain versus this guy's hands. You're not judging your hands versus this guy's hands. So if you compare how you actually play versus how this guy actually plays, he's better than you, right? He might even be better than you in terms of taking pre-fight damage because you know not to, but you still accidentally do it anyway.
Yeah. It's not about me thinking that I'm better than him, but not understanding why what he does still works.
Right. It's and that's because he does it less often than you do.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I'm saying? Like he might like I see this all the time with players, like they don't understand what they're doing. They may even coach the wrong thing, but they in action are better. Whereas educated players like you may be really educated, but you're not that good at actually doing the things consistently.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like right now, okay, so this jump right here, I don't want to go back too much because Twitch skip is like 10 seconds. It's obnoxious. He could jump and probably should jump the top. But the reason he jumps bottom is because, oh, this diva must be low. I can kill this diva. So that if the tank is low, the tank is a squishy. The problem is that the tank is not low, so he ends up wasting bubble, he ends up wasting jump, and now he misses opportunity to kill the isolated cast on high ground. You see that? So there's a reason about why he made that jump. It just ended up not working out. And then here, this is a great example here. Could he jump backline here? Yes.
You can also block heals.
But he could also block heals as well. And now he ends up doing both. He shoots the diva, ends up pursuing, going from there. So like, this is not like, this ain't goo shui, right? But there's like logic behind what he's doing. Let's just keep going here. So then, if I was coaching Winston here, what would you be saying here? What should you be doing?
Go high ground.
Go high ground, right.
Set up.
Set up, exactly. He still gets the jump on squishies. Obviously, Baby Diva is low. If he'd been high ground, that would have allowed him to save the jump. Could have actually landed and then pursued afterwards. Primal goes backline, bubbles off, turns around, gets the jump for the damage, doesn't end up getting the kill. Okay. There's the staging. Diva's going to come top. He's going to zap Diva. He's then going to prioritize squishies, right? So like, you know, he's still doing, like, if I promise you, like, if this was like a plat or a low diamond Winston, he would have sat there and played Tickle Me Elmo with the diva for like the last 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is that sometimes it's like these squishies are not as accessible, so he tries to take a favorable tank trade, because any tank trade is favorable if that tank is out of position. That's the rule.
Okay, I'm gonna write that sentence down.
Yeah. The only question is, the only question you really need to be asking yourself is, do I need to be zoning backline while that tank is out of position? Does that make sense? Because sometimes the backline is so far away that you literally don't even need to zone them. It's like you can't even get to them. They're not even a factor. But sometimes they're close enough to where you think the tank is overextended, but if actually the squishies are close, you need to be dealing with them. That's the rule.
I always figured, like, if I'm on the tank, I could be on squishies instead and
yes,
like,
you're right.
Healing and stuff.
You're 100% right. The question is though, sometimes those squishies are so far, they're inaccessible, so then at that point, you might as well bubble off tank.
So it's less about there's situations where hitting the tank is good, but there are situations where there's not really anything else available.
That's it exactly. Because a bubble on a tank, like a Winston bubble is still the most broken tank cooldown in the game, up there with Junker Queen Shell.
Yeah. One, like, where he was doing this really well, when Mauga was meta, he was destroying Mauga.
Yeah. Because if you can't reach backline, but you could bubble off Mauga's heals and just bubble dance, like what will happen? Well, the Maugas will over-focus you. Like, there's even a world where you could say the tank trade with Winston and Mauga isn't all that bad, because if you're able to bubble dance really well, he doesn't get his crit heals. Right?
At least against not great Maugas.
Exactly. Yeah, he doesn't get his crit heals, right? Now, good Maugas, what they'll do is they'll run. If they'll either shoot you and they won't let you bubble dance, or they'll run during your bubble, let their team break bubble, and then they're going to have cardiac, and then you're screwed. Then you don't have anything.
Yeah.
Like, I'll say that, like, Mauga versus Winston should really not be trading with the Mauga. But if the Mauga's bad, 100%. 100%. Because it's not just about the Winston versus Winston. It's Winston versus Winston's team versus Mauga. Like this right here. Okay, so this is where there's too much frontlining, right? This is like, it's a little bit unfortunate with the Kitsune, but he needed a deeper jump. He needed to actually secure the kill.
And it's not just frontlining. What I would have thought, like, could be an option, like going top left and then jumping over.
Yeah,
like,
and you would have been
take
right.
Sneaky angles.
You would have been right.
Okay, but I feel like if I do this, probably this is like a timing issue or something like that.
There's a timing issue.
But then I don't have enough presence on main, and my team just dies before I'm set up.
But that is not true, because your presence on main here is nothing more than a punching bag for your supports. That's like the biggest misconception. Like, these guys might be doing it, but it's a misconception, because what it basically means is that if you're on main, or at least without cover, then you're forcing your supports to have to hard pocket you. So having frontline presence is meaningless, because you're either hiding behind a wall and not taking damage, in which case, what's your frontline presence? Or,
I mean, I'm still a sponge for attention.
But you're a sponge for attention while providing nothing out. Like for example, a tank isn't just a damage sponge. A tank has to also be a threat, right? So if you're just a damage sponge, then you're losing HP, which is forcing your supports to look at you instead of your supports actually being able to do damage, right? And then your supports, they're looking at you, they're not paying attention to their flanks, they're not paying attention to the enemy DPS threats. So, like, you actually have to do things with that HP, otherwise you're not doing anything. So you're like, okay, I'd lose frontline presence here if I took top left. Yes, but what does that mean? Is it worth it to lose the HP and have a worse engage, but you're a damaged sponge? I mean, no. You actually have to be a threat with it. The reason why Winston definitely struggles with taking more angles and flanks, in higher ranks, is because higher rank players take more angles and flanks. And if you've learned anything with Winston, being contested on a flank sucks, because you really don't want to use your bubble on that. So that's where, like, that's probably where you see things like, okay, like, if I was this Winston in a low rank, I would, like, maybe sneakily jump high ground, but okay, they're going to contest me in high ground because these guys aren't plat or gold.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So what ends up happening is your staging ends up being a lot less creative, because every time you get creative, you get marked every single time. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be creative. You should try. You should look for angles where they're not going to deny your staging. But in high ranks, that is by far the biggest thing, is that high ranks just deny your angles every single time. Every single time.
Yeah, okay.
And so you have to be like, for example, like this right here. This is still, I would say, not a great jump, right? But he's not really going to be able to like just sit here, and then he's not going to be able to jump in this room here and sneak behind in the bubble. Like
I think this is something that I try quite often then. Yeah.
Yeah. But ultimately, I do. That being said, I do think that bubble was kind of useless. I think this would have been better for him to jump to his team, walk up with his team, and then deep jump, right? At least try for a deep jump, right? Now, this is also where like, okay, so this is one other exception to the rule. So when you deep jump, if the enemy backline is well positioned and you are all-inning, you're all-inning. And that's the one problem with Winston is like sometimes you have to all in, sometimes you don't want to all in. So like right now, if he walks up and jumps backline here, right in this like little box, do you see my mouse?
Yeah.
He's all in. If he doesn't get a kill or if his team doesn't push, he's dead. Now he might create a lot of space, but would it be worth it? I don't know.
Yeah.
So what would you do instead? You're going to tank trade in the front line? Well.
So would it be worth to just like tank trade and wait for ult? Because that was what was one other thing that I thought.
You could.
Like high rank does more. They play more about their ult.
It does. It does. Okay. Yeah, so high rank players are a lot more cautious to hard commit until they see an opportunity. Like that's the other, like if you want to talk about like pro level Winstons, that's why pro level Winstons don't always hard commit. It's because they're waiting for a situation where they know that their team can follow through.
And so what do they do while not hard committing?
That's the great question. They look for favorable HP trades or they look to control space. Like I want to give you a little bit of an analogy here, okay? Where could this Winston go to improve his positioning slightly for backline without dying instantly?
On the bridge?
On the bridge, right? Where on the bridge? Be specific.
I mean, I feel like going like in the tunnel a little bit is nice because I've got cover, but then if the diva comes up and shoots me, I'm fucked.
Right, so you don't go all the way in the tunnel, but you lean at least towards the cover, right? Just at least a little bit. You could also do it on the left, depending on where your backline's positioned. Now, why would that be good? Because you're thinking, oh no, the diva's just going to booster me and screw me over, right? Well, maybe. What would happen? You jump here. Let's say your backline plays it properly. What do you have? You have your bubble. Are you going to get your bubble forced? Yes. What are you going to do with that bubble?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I mean, what exactly? Like, what would I do if I had the bubble for something else? Or
no, I was saying you're jumping here. You're bubbling here. Why? You're going to need a bubble, right? What is that diva going to do?
And she's just going to shoot me and we're going to bubble dance and I'm going to stay there for a while and then drop out.
But why is that a tank trade that you're willing to participate in?
Because their team doesn't have like good sidelines on me, but my team has decent sidelines on her.
Exactly. And this also, especially with today, is going to feel a lot better, right? With the armor changes and so on. So then the question is what's the point of getting from here to here?
Just making space.
Making space how?
Distracting the diva.
But it's a 1-for-1. It's a 1-for-1, right? So, but what else would it do? Like, look at where this backline's positioned, right? You see this?
Yeah, I guess I probably have to move back.
Right, why? Because what would you do otherwise?
I would drop on them.
You drop on them, right? You'd bubble trade with the diva, wait 10 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds, then you drop on backline, and then now they're screwed. They're actually screwed. So that's how you create space. The staging is creating space. Staging is either creating space or it's a free engage on backline if they don't give you respect.
Yeah. So what I would have probably done instead is if I saw that jump, I would have jumped there and then immediately hid for like 6 seconds and then jumped all the way deep.
If you could
but I can also just stage and
Yes, if you could do that, right? But my point being is that this is why you'll see high-level Winstons tank trade more, is a lot of times in that staging, they end up having to tank trade because they're getting marked.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. That's a big question answered.
People in higher levels will not let you stage for free, is the idea. This happens to me all the time. Like I'll coach, you know what, another character that struggles with this a lot, I'll coach tracers. And they'll be like, I took a flank, Coach Spilo. I climbed from bronze to gold, thank you. I climbed from bronze to plat, thank you. Coach Spilo, I don't know how to play tracer anymore. All I do is I take a flank and everybody's just shooting me all the time. What's happened? What's changed? You tell me. I
was zoning out, my bad.
Yeah, that's okay. So I'll coach a bronze tracer, okay? Coach a bronze tracer from bronze to plat. I told them to take flanks. And now, right, so now they're in plat. People are actually taking flanks now. And so now they're second guessing everything. No. It's the same thing. The difference is now that you guys are fighting for those stagings. You're fighting for those positions, right? So the goal is still the same. If they don't contest you, you get a free engage. But if they do contest you, that's okay. Bubble's still good. Bubble's great at tank trade. You don't want to tank trade if you have something better to do. But if you have to tank trade to stage, you will tank trade.
Okay.
You'll tank trade.
That makes sense.
The end goal is still the same, but the promise is that now because the players are better skilled, they're going to start contesting you because they know what you're trying to do, and they're going to try and stop you from doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Let's say the diva was like behind me top right.
Yeah.
Would I want to force her out there?
No, that would not, because the question is your state. What are you staging for, Winston? What's the end goal?
The backline.
The backline, right? So then, does jumping top right assist you in staging for backline?
No, but I feel like it's a really strong position for her,
Sure.
and I maybe want to deny that.
The question is will I understand 100% what you're saying? The question is what's more valuable, a Winston with bubble or a diva with full resources and a tank trade within backline LOS of both teams? You get how that's kind of tricky, right? It's hard to know. It's hard to know. So here's what I would say. Ask yourself, on that top right, am I going to get more help than that diva is going to get?
Probably not.
If the answer is, because sometimes the answer will be yes, because like let's say the backline is back here, right? You have like, let's say you have a tracer coming up with you. The answer is yes, you will. So is it worth it to jump the diva? Yes, it is. You will force her out.
I'm not think about it in the vacuum, but
right. You need to think of it in the context of like, does my backline have LOS? Do we need to clear out the diva? Do we need to? And the answer is yes. Then yes, go clear out that space first, because their backline cannot properly support that position.
Yeah.
And so that's where, remember, that goes all the way back to what we were talking about. Like, when do you tank trade? When that tank is out of position, right? So then you're like, okay, I can't jump backline because we can't trade with diva. Now you could jump backline and pray that your team is able to deal with the diva because she's isolated. That's another way of looking at it. It takes you.
That's true.
You've asked a question that doesn't really have a clear answer. Both options are situationally true. It's up to you to decide which is which.
Okay.
But if that's the only type of circumstance that you're struggling, then you're going to be fine. Because that's a very, 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 very difficult problem. That's not going to happen almost ever.
Yeah. So I think the other part of what I wrote was like figuring out, like for me, like what's important. Because in some situations when I think about my gameplay or watch myself, I feel like there's so many things that I just keep fucking up. Like there's so much that I do badly.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to figure out what's something worth looking at out of all of those things.
Sure. I mean, we'll definitely look at your gameplay in a second here, and we'll give you something to work at. But yeah, okay. I mean, that's what it comes down to, priority.
Yeah, but this was already really good, yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of, by the way, you can kind of tell, even though this tank trade wasn't that good, because it's like, oh, whatever. Look at the enemy's positions, right? And then now look at how they adjust because of that bubble and because what his team does with the bubble. So now he peaks again. Do you see how they've adjusted position? You see that?
Yeah.
So it's not optimal, but the tank trade did create a little bit of space because bubble. This was happening with us in OWCS with Team Overwatched. Emong was consistently like aggressively pushing tanks, Winston's with bubbles with a full backline, and he was losing the tank trade. The thing is that Winston is really freaking strong when he has bubble, even in a tank trade. So people have to give you respect. Now, if this team red here was smarter, what they would have done is the diva would have been a little bit more cautious. They wouldn't have used slide, first off. That was stupid. And then what would a smart team do now?
Engage now while my bubble's down.
Engage, right? Just simply peek while the bubble's down. And this is where Winston OW would feel kind of bad about tank trading with the diva.
Okay.
That was a window of opportunity that they missed there. And that's kind of what ended up happening, right? Because what ends up happening is the Tracer takes space off the bubble, and then now she's totally isolated because Winston is not only AFK, but Winston's not demanding any attention at all by being in an aggressive position, like up on that bridge.
All right. Yeah.
And this right here is objectively a bad thing. Again, the diva is overextended. What should he be focusing on here? You see it?
The backline is super.
Walk forward on backline, bubble off backline, right? Because the other thing too is it's like he needs to make sure, like, as a good smart Cassidy here with speed boost will walk into your bubble and fan the hammer you because you're not paying attention, right? So this isn't just you need to bubble off the diva and focus squishies. You also need you need to be scared of those squishies right there.
Yeah, and he's got the bubble here. There's a chance of doing something.
But you see, he is one thing he's been pretty good with is he is pretty disciplined with and without bubble, right? And obviously the mechanics have been pretty good too. So,
yeah, okay.
Okay, let's see. So now he's primal, so obviously a little bit more aggressive, waiting for team. Jumps top. top, better position, clears top. That's obviously a really unfortunate bubble. The boop there sucks. Ooh. And that's a great primal. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a really scary primal, and that's a great primal. I mean, the only mistake here is obviously he should have gotten out. I don't think he realized how low he was. It's the beat. It's the beat. Yeah, the beat baits him. But obviously the space is created and so on. Let's
Yeah, that was a nice primal.
That was a nice primal. Very nice primal.
I mean, that's also something I think I'm definitely lacking in.
Right, it's so important. I every time I play Winston, I'm reminded of like I should be winning every single fight I have primal, or at least be forcing 2 ults for one, and I don't always do that.
That much, okay.
I mean, I think that it is like let's put it this: it could be a 1-for-1, but it needs to be a good ult. Right? Like if you primal for beat, that's all right, right? But primal is so good, so good.
Yeah, okay.
Goes for squishy, no surprise there. I think the problem here is this is where like, okay, if you want to talk about like creating space, you generally want to focus things that are on the periphery, right? And so if you jump here or drop here, you see how he's getting shot like 3-4 times in the back, right? So the question is it better to save jump here? Or what's your other option if you want to stay on like the periphery with your Winston engages? Do you see it?
Yeah, I see the Sojourn ping, but I don't see where exactly she is.
Yeah, I don't think he does either, but he should be able to anticipate. This is what I would say. I actually think
that makes so much sense, yeah. I always feel like to make space, I should just like jump where like the most space to be made is.
Mm-hmm.
But like the opposite approach of like pushing them together in a smaller space.
Yeah. The reason
makes so much sense.
The reason you jump like here, I would say jumping on these boxes and then drop onto the Sojourn, is because not only then do you pull attention towards you where you can see it, right? So there's no surprises. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
But the other thing as well is that like both the Sojourn and Cassidy are isolated, but to peel for the Cassidy, they have to walk forward. That's not a problem. They want to do that anyway. But to peel for the Sojourn, they have to go where?
Backwards,
back out into the open. They have to go this direction. That's kind of like one of the initial, there was a really famous Jane clip back in the day. I don't know if you remember. Where it's like, how does Winston create space? He jumps backline, enemy team turns around and peels back. That's how you create space. That's kind of like what you're doing here. So he goes to the Cassidy because he could save jump. But I think if he'd used the blue boxes and just jumped on the boxes, then dropped on the Sojourn, that would have been the better engage. And that would have meant that he would not have gotten traded.
1-for-1 for him as well.
1-for-1, right? It's not a bad 1-for-1 because he got more than one person's attention there. But yeah. And then now you watch this here. This is why he's tank trading. Okay, so he jumps the squishy first. Sees that, okay, these guys are no longer targetable. So why on earth would I even look at them? You're not doing any damage to them. So why look? So he's bubbled off squishies, then turns tank because he's now doing like what, 30, 40, 100. That's like 200 damage almost right there, right? As opposed to zapping literally the air, right?
So in that situation, once he decided to bubble, they just weren't available, so might as well just shoot tank. Okay,
he went for backline, backline backed up, so now he can't go for backline, so now he turns on tank. It's always a little risky to do that because you do turn your back to backline, but it is generally the better play. Okay, so then now staging, where should he go?
I feel like just on top of them, yeah.
It's kind of funny, again, like this is not a bad jump here. But it is one of those situations again where like because he's in front, he's not really creating an angle. He's not really on the priority. He's right in the middle of them. I think that's why I would have jumped sooner, right? Like even before he was full, I would have forced my Kiriko to even use TP. He should already be dropping on them now because again, if it's the same thing with the Cassidy. The very first thing he did here, he lands in front of the entire enemy team. They don't really change their position because whatever, and then he gets railed on the way out. It's the same type of mistake and the same type of death.
Yeah, that's one thing I was wondering. I remember there was one clip that was about the bubble and how it should also be useful for your team. But if I want to create an off angle, then it's not really like useful in that way for my team of like blocking stuff for them as well.
Right, exactly. And remember, a lot of the times when that kind of stuff is happening, it's because you're playing versus a comp or you're playing on a map where staging, flanking, off angle opportunities are not available to you.
Okay, so it's not something to look for at all times, but also more of a...
It is not something to look for at all, right? But if it happens, if that's what ends up happening, then that's you utilize the value of your bubble, yes. Remember, bubble is a ridiculously potent cooldown. The thing is just like, will I be able to get the staging on the backline with the bubble that I like? Like, you could look at it here, right? So he jumps top. This is a bad jump because he has a staging to be able to choose anyone he wants here. You see this? Even if the diva's low, where should he go?
Sojourn, probably
Right.
Cass.
Sojourn, Cass, anybody. Instead, he peels off the diva, and this is where I would be fuming at this player, right? Because the bubble's broken anyway, and nothing happens. You see that?
Yeah, okay.
And so ends up happening is he forces beat, and he actually ends up having to disengage because, he's scared of Hinder. I think he sees Hinder there, which is why he stays. Yeah, I mean, basically, that's a mistake right there. That's why our friend here is not GM1. GM1 Winston player doesn't peel back on he goes top.
Yeah, makes sense.
You can even see here how he did not go directly to card. He tried to wrap around behind, right?
One thing I think I know the answer to, but something that happens to me sometimes, like I try to, like what we said, jump behind them, and then the team just like says, okay, cool, and then they just walk forward, the enemies.
Yeah.
Into my team.
I mean,
that's probably then just a bad jump.
Yeah, I mean, that's the risk you have to take. You have to make a read and make sure that doesn't happen to you. That's just a skill issue or an engagement issue. Yeah, there's nothing good here. Now, this is a really interesting situation because the diva actually doesn't avoid trading with him. She actually goes off in the flag. We just saw her use her boosters off to the left, and now he has to make a decision here. So your options would be, well, what are your options? Let's break down the strengths and weaknesses of all of them.
And I can just put down bubble here, zap those two.
Right.
I can jump.
What does that accomplish?
Creates a bit of... No, it doesn't really create space. I do damage, basically.
It creates a little bit of space because they move from this angle here on cart to where?
I mean, realistically, if they're getting healed, I'm not even sure if they have to move backwards.
Sure. Fair enough. But at least you're pulling the attention from these people in this dangerous position. Maybe force them to the right. Okay, what else?
I could jump like to the back right in the room or up top and drop.
Yep. Save you your jump. Problem being, obviously, is that you miss the opportunity to do damage now. So he goes in, he bubbles, he creates a little bit of space, and I think he gets booped. What happens here? Yeah, I think Lucius above him actually gets booped, I'm fairly certain. Yeah, so he gets booped, and that's when he panics his jump and screws it up. But yeah, you see how that, like, as bad as this feels, like, let's ignore the boop for just a quick second. What this has done is this, again, has created a window where his team is allowed to trade with Diva favorably. And if he plays this one better, obviously no boop, then not only does he live, but he's in a situation where he doesn't take any damage at all. Like, that's where Bubble, I think, is better than Matrix. Because if you look at this, it's like you have the opportunity to just completely deny damage entirely while still forcing resources and cooldowns.
Yeah. You say he play this better. How would he play this better, though?
He didn't know the Lucio was there.
Oh, okay.
He didn't know the Lucio was there. So the Lucio just dive bombs him and boops him. He could have turned around right here and walked into the boop, looked up at the Lucio and zapped him, and the Lucio would have gotten at least Ant Force, probably Suzu as well. Otherwise, he would have died.
I mean, that sounds crazy to me to be like that aware, but fair enough.
Right, but it just comes down to like, where's the other support? You know, like that like you have to know where people are, right? Not to mention the noise.
I mean, I'm just trusting he's in my backline, fucking them up. And I'm good.
Right. I understand that.
But yeah, I see that that's something
you
where
do have to track Squishy's positions because that dictates who you go for. Like right now, like why would you go? If the Lucio was up top above me, I don't think that he is. But if he was, I would jump him first, right? Instead of going for backline because he's the most accessible target.
What do you think, like here about jumping, like to the top right?
Like up to this yellow thing here?
No, like further right.
Oh, further right? Like all the way into
like before he was here, like 5 seconds earlier.
Oh, like up here.
Not there, but like over the railing.
Over the railing onto towards their spawn. It's good, but the problem is it doesn't get you closer to their backline. You think it does, but look at where their backline is. You see what I'm saying? So you would end up over here, and you'd still have to jump to engage. If the payload was like way back here, then it would be okay. The problem is again with that jump, is if that Diva is paying attention, and she will be, what is she going to do the second that you make that jump if the payload's back here?
Yeah, she's gonna go after them.
She's gonna fly up, She's going to force your cooldowns. Unless you got a Kiriko on your butt cheeks, it's just not going to work. And the reason why it's not going to work is because your backline's here, their backline's here. You're engaging over here where your backline can't see. That would only work if your backline actually pushed the corner and turned, right? Which a lot of people won't do on this map.
Yeah.
You got to look at Winston Bubble and Winston Engages as like a holistic team thing. Like, when are you being a threat, and does it matter? This mattered a lot. Like, even though it was a feed, it allowed them to clear the D.Va out and force the D.Va to 1 HP on the off angle at the same time. So that his team was actively engaging at the same time as him, and so that's why it still ended up working out okay. Tank trade here. Why? Because ult's active. He doesn't have time to stage. He just needs to go now. And like, this is the judgment you're going to have to make. Do you save Bubble here and pray that the enemy Sojourn doesn't hit a shot? Or do you just take what you can get right here? I think you just take what you can get, right? And then it's just fine. Now, the question is why does he go back to the D.Va? This is an important one. Why does he go back to the D.Va?
I'm not sure.
He doesn't have Bubble. And
so it's just too dangerous to stay there?
And there's an active Kitsune. Yeah, it's just too dangerous to stay there. I think he thought Cassidy was there. If Cassidy was there, it's definitely too dangerous to stay. With just Kirilucio, I think he could have zoned backline a little bit longer, frankly. I think a little bit longer with just Kirilucio. But there's logic behind what he did. And then now, okay, now I have my Bubble. Now I'm expecting a non-tank trade. And see, to me, that's the mistake. You see it? And he gets punished for it. He gets punished for it, right? Because the D.Va gets out, he's not staged, and now he's not in a better position for his Primal Rage. Especially with Primal Rage, because let's be honest, it would be a hard commit, but he's 80 on Primal. This is a free fight one right here. You go backline, the D.Va dies, Susie's forced, and you have a Primal Rage. And that right there is a mistake. Now, it does force beat, but we definitely expect a deep dive here. Now, this is also where, what could he be doing right now? He's 3 seconds of Bubble.
Setting up.
Setting up, where?
Like going left.
Going left, right? So, and why would that work? Well, because look what the D.Va, where the D.Va is, right? She's not paying attention right now. I guarantee you that flank is free. And this is where, in the chaos, you can get staging.
Okay, yeah, there's something I don't consider at all. Like how busy they are with other shit.
Yeah. Not just how busy they are, but he's actively tracking D.Va booster cooldown as well.
Yeah, okay.
So this has been like 20, 25 seconds where a better Winston this fight would already be over. Like, there would have already, the staging in a backline / Primal Rage, he's tank trading a lot because he's scared to commit, right? And / he thinks that the D.Va's overcommitted, and she's not.
Yeah. I think for me, though, what we said before was really important, though. Because I would have played this, like, try and get on the backline no matter fucking what. Like, taking these, like, crazy off angles. And I probably would have just fed.
Yeah. If they mark you, yeah.
Yeah. And when I tried like to play more main, because I was seeing this and was trying to imitate it, I just played main and died without no reason. But now knowing that like I can still do this if there's some no better options, but otherwise still look for them.
Exactly.
Makes sense. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's look at a code here. Let's look at a code. Let's kind of compare things a little bit.
Yeah, let's see. No, this one was too stompy. Oh yeah, this one was good.
Okay. I restarted stream. Can you see?
No? Just see your pretty face.
Click on my profile picture and click over.
Yeah, I got it. What did I say this one? Close game, couldn't kill backline, and oh yeah, I remember this one. Mm-hmm. We had like way better stats, but it was a draw in the end. But we just didn't go on the objective.
It's an objective game, right? So like you have to cleanly win fights, and then a lot of times what ends up happening is that they will die, but they get objective pressure out of like the goal of winning fights is to push the objective, right? So if they're able to like with their comp, like let's say they're on attack and they just like push. That's
basically what I remembered what you said at some point about like them getting stretched out, and I was thinking like, yeah, this is fine, this is great, this is what we want.
Yeah.
And then they just kept.
But you have to punish the stretch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like think about it this way: like if you stretch a bicep or a tendon to its extreme, you can't just let it sit there. You have to flick it to break it. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to put a little bit
I
of
hate
pressure.
that analogy, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, you have to put a little bit of pressure on the stretch for it to actually be punished. If you just like let it stretch,
side.
then it's going to be fine. And a lot of what happens is like with these high sustain comps is they will just leverage the objective and leverage and leverage and leverage and leverage and leverage. I mean, their comp is perfect for it, right? Tracer, very high sustain, right? The ability to just live on an angle or live on the objective. Ram, they have double main heals, Life Weaver, all that kind of stuff. Now, this is an example of a tank trade.
Yeah.
Now you ask yourself,
I feel like he's dangerous up here.
well, okay, so he's dangerous. And remember, the question is there a reasonable jump on backline that I can actually make here?
Probably. I mean, I could try, but I feel like I should die for that. Like if I try
Why?
and jump the Sojourn.
Why?
Because the Ram can just drop down and punch me.
I'm going to tie this all into a nice, tidy little package for you. Do you remember when I said on the first point defense that I said you don't want to drop on the Cassidy here necessarily, because even though it saves your jump, where does it put you?
In the middle of the team.
Where would it put you if you jumped the Sojourn?
In the middle of the team.
In the middle of the team. Do you see how you get pincered? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when we talk about target priority here, the quality of the angle you take is almost as important, if not just as important.
Okay.
And right now,
so
the
realistically,
Ram feels better. It's not the Ramatra that you like here. Let's be honest. It's this spot. This jump feels good. It's the high ground. It's an angle. You can avoid the damage. Everybody's shooting in one side here. It just feels good. It feels safe. Worst case scenario, you can always drop. It's the quality of the jump, right? I swear, this is something that I've been learning a lot the last couple of months. I've been learning myself, right? Is that I'm learning that target priority is largely a myth for most characters, if not all. It's more about the quality of the position, the angle that you take. So ready for something saucy? If you were to jump backline here, how should you do it?
Yeah, over the roof on the.
You would go over the roof. Why? You would want to be here. Why?
Because I'm on the edge.
Because you're on the edge.
And I've got safe backup options to go out and better targets.
That's it, exactly. It's because you're on the edge that you have a safe disengage, right? Because you would pull. If people would chase you, it'd be very inconvenient for them to get to you. And you would, if they walk forward, great. You're pincering them into your team. If they walk backward, great. They're losing space, and then you just jump back the way that you went.
Yeah.
So this jump on the Ramatra is not bad. I wouldn't necessarily jump a Roadhog. Let's not lie.
Yeah.
Target priority does play a little bit into these things. But the reason why the Ram jump is acceptable is because it is a tank trade on an angle, on a position that you really like. And it's at a reasonable time, too, where there's at least something going on right now. Like your team is dealing with Tracer, the Sojourn's taking an aggressive position. This is fine.
Would it have been better to just do nothing?
Well, that's a great question. The question of when to do something is not really always in your ballpark on the defense. You need to be reactive.
Yeah.
Is the enemy team actively contesting taking space right now?
They are.
They are, so it's fine. Now, I know what you're saying. You're thinking, oh, but they might do something more aggressive soon. That's true. That's true. What would they do? What would they do? Where would they go? Let's ask the question. Where would they go? Where would that Sojourn go? Where would that on Life Weaver go?
They'd probably just keep walking forward.
Keep walking forward. If you were to jump them, if they keep walking forward, would you be pincering yourself again? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know that you're going to get a better engage than this.
Okay. Yeah.
Like if Sojourn were to slide top, that's a better engage. Right?
Yeah.
If they were to like rotate all the way around this way and then you can jump and flank behind, that's a better engage. But I don't think
would that be a better engage? Because I feel like then I just jump there, tickle them, but there's no pressure from my team, right?
Well, so what it would mean is that you could tickle them and then they wrap around this way and then you can set up and do something corny like this here, right? But yeah, TLDR is that like right now, I don't know that they are fighting and I don't think that there's going to be a better trade for squishies right now. So take what you can get.
Yeah. And going like over the roof onto the supports, is that something like how do I know they're there? Because here I can see them.
You don't. But you have to predict. You don't. Well, what would happen is this would be where you'd be willing to spin. Like let's not lie here. You know where they are. And also you could press tab here too, so there isn't like a Moira or Kiriko. You know where they are. You know where they are. So you chose the low risk, low reward jump instead of the high risk, high reward jump. But that's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Okay.
We don't want high risk, low reward, right? Or medium risk, low reward, you know, something like that. We want appropriate risk for the reward. And you can tell because look what ends up happening. It's a tank trade, but look at your HP. Look at the attention that you're pulling, right? 1, 2, 3. You're not going to force Nemesis form, like let's not lie here. But look at your HP. Again, look at your HP.
If I had done this a little later, maybe their backline couldn't have like walked out so quickly.
Yes, but remember...
Because now my team doesn't put much pressure on them.
That is true. That is true. You could have waited a little bit till the backline had walked forward so that there could have been more of a trade. The only reason I think this was acceptable is because this was happening at the same time.
Okay, I just got lucky.
Right, you got lucky with it. So that your team could trade with the Tracer at the same time. And in theory also as well, like they can shoot Ram pretty heavily from here, so it wasn't the end of the world.
Okay, yeah.
And see, this is where, okay, so this is like very important moment, because this is where a Platinum tank would have traded with the Ramatra. But because you have the staging to go for backline. Oh, and by the way, staging, remember, what do we mean by staging? Do you see the position you're going to take here? Are you in the middle of the enemy team?
No.
No, you're coming from the outside. So now you go for a backline.
Yeah, okay.
In fact, it's so good you don't even need bubble. And even here, you're going to be quote-unquote in the middle of the team, but crucially, there's nobody there to pinch her from you behind. And obviously, this fight is just lost. But you see how freaking good this jump is?
Yeah.
Like, that felt amazing because you staged from an angle after a tank trade. Yeah, that was a good fight for me. I think all things considered, that was a good series of trades here.
Okay. So it's just my team that's holding me back.
Yeah, your team holding you back. You should be top 500, yes.
Yes, nice. I mean, I think I'm top 500
yeah,
in like 3 wins because there's no one playing tank.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So this is where, again, like, is the enemy team making objective pressure / taking space / are they walking in front of your team? Yes. So then you got to make an important decision here. Your options are, well, what? I think there's like 3. I see 3 options here. Maybe not at this exact same moment, but like in the last 8 seconds.
I mean, if I wait just a little bit, I can just drop down and bubble to contest. I feel like that's not too amazing.
Yeah, what else?
If I do it now, I can go on the roof. That looks pretty nice.
Yeah, you could even.
And I could even go deep on the Life Weaver.
And notice that again.
And this is one where I feel like he's just gonna jump forwards and then I sit there. And,
right. But that's okay because now he's collapsed himself with the enemy team. So that now
I made space. Your
next engage will be even more lethal. And so either he's gonna go forward or they're gonna go backward, or sometimes both. Right? Like Life Weaver might lunge forward and Ram Sojourn might turn around. That's optimal. That's even better, right? And then obviously, like, you've not taken any damage. So, like, you're starting from main, but you're actually jumping to the periphery. What you really would not probably want to do is, like, jump here, right? Where you're getting pincered, there's no escape route, it's no good. You could drop here, like you said. Like, this isn't too bad here, but the problem here is that you've dropped, you're contesting card, but what's the problem?
I'm just going to get forced out.
Are you doing damage?
No.
So if you were going to drop, where did you need to drop?
But in them. Like,
yeah, right. Just even back. Like on the car, right? So this is the problem. Is like, this is where also like you probably should not have tickled tank, but yeah. It also doesn't help that your backline really trolled the rotations. Like that Tracer, look at your backline. I mean, it's actually such an awful setup for your backline here. Like if your Widow,
I feel like this is a quite common setup in my rank. But
your Widow, if your Widow is here, this is GG's. Like you guys can mark that Tracer so easily. But yeah, okay. All right, let's go. You need to be on backline now. Yes, perfect. In fact, I think you could have stayed half a second longer. I think you're scared of sleep dart, but that is good. That is good. This is where I think you need to be like a little bit more like. I think it was okay. I think it was okay.
No. So I think I could say that I've not done like any super big mistakes so far.
Yeah, I would agree.
They just got half the point for free.
Yeah, I'd agree.
That's just how it is.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's good Primo. Get her. This is where, like, ironically, not ironically, but honestly, I'd be going for the Tracer instead. Maybe just look at the Ram, but, like, even throw alt fire at the Tracer. This is where, I mean, I think, like, the fact that the Tracer lives this and she's here, this is the mistake here, frankly.
Okay.
I think that even just
I even tried to jump there. I think I got pulled down by the...
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have gone after her, I think. I would have gone after the Ram, yeah.
Go. Don't be scared of this. Don't be scared of this. Because again, you're on the periphery, right? You're not in the middle here. So you could directly...
I just felt like that. I just wanted, like, to scare him off. But yeah, if I just go there, I just have an amazing position.
Just kill him, right?
Yeah.
Just create. If you're not now, and like you'll drop on him now, and like this is the problem now is like ironically like you're letting that Ram pull you out of position now, and you're like losing track, and like this just. I mean, this is fine. Like that ends up being fine, but frankly, like that Life Weaver should have been dead 3 seconds ago. And honestly, if that Life Weaver's faster, he pulls the Ana, and then you're in trouble. Yeah, I don't know. I just
feel like if I go after him, I die.
No.
I don't think I can kill him.
Oh, you can kill him. Unless it's me and Life Weaver, then yeah, you can't kill him. But like, just walk. He falls off, then you sit here and hide. You use your sights, wait till somebody gets close, then drop on them.
Okay.
Yeah, just stage. Like you have the staging for free here. They're not contesting your angle outside of Life Weaver. So. Oh, and by the way, this is all going to get easier after the day 2 of the regen as well.
Yeah, that's the other thing holding me back because my hero's trash.
Exactly. See, I
think we C9 this.
You need to trust. Like you need here's the irony: is you're going back, but you needed to chase this Life Weaver. If you chase this Life Weaver, you kill the Life Weaver, and then you still touch cart when you need to.
Yeah, that's true.
There's just like a little bit of like this is what I talked about. This is what I talked about with you. It's like you know these things, but you're like, oh yeah, I'm not quite as urgent in getting these kills. That's the difference. It's like a little bit lazy with your execution. That's all. Like even here, drop top, wait 1, 2, then drop cart at like 0.05 meters. You know that like extra little bit of damage will save you 50 HP. And then here, you're so focused on the Ram, you didn't even see the Ana right next to you. And she lives. She lives.
That's criminal.
Right?
Yeah.
I still don't know that you're the reason that you guys lost this so far, but it is exposing some concerning habits that will cost you other games, right?
Basically, being more committal.
Right. Like even here, like just like look for squishies, commit on squishies. Exactly. Like even here, it's like there needs to be urgency to get high. Urgency. Okay, where's the target? Don't worry about cart. I need to trust my team to deal with cart. I need to be dealing with backline here.
Do not
go back.
Yeah,
you drop again, right? You need to go. This Kiriko needs her TP force. Like the Sojourn's right underneath you. You need to go.
Yeah, I'm useless. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, you know. So then now you have to use your bubble to engage, or your jump to engage, and so then you don't have your jump to chase. So then if this Sojourn lives, it's your fault. Yeah, and there it is. That's it.
Yeah, no,
right
it was
That's it. So then now you're
then
screwed,
we C9.
and then and it's a mess. Right, it's a giant mess. So.
So be quicker.
Yeah, just more like this is what I kind of talked about with like the mechanics. It's about being smart with your engages, but really look at a target and kill the target. Don't get lazy or just kind of mindlessly jumping around and pressuring squishies. Like be very deliberate with what you're doing. Like right now, if I'm about to engage here, you need to hit on the Life Weaver, on his head, with a melee or zap, whatever, and get on him. Instead, this just kind of feels like you knew that you had to know that was going to happen, right?
I didn't think about that at all, what he was going to do, yeah.
Right, and you need to think about that, right? And so that even changes who you jump, right? So because you have, like, this is obviously, like, this is a perfect setup. Like, you're on the angle, nobody's marking you, you have everything that you're doing, and this is why you're not GM or whatever. It's because when given the opportunity to stage, because the tracer's not marking you, you don't kill the targets. You just annoy them and harass them and zone them. And just because you don't die for it, you think that you're doing great. But your ankles are shattered. You're getting juked so badly.
Oh yeah.
You know? And then now it's too late, right? Now it's too late. Opportunity's gone.
So how do I play the micro better there? Just jump directly on top of him?
Just jump, land directly on Lifeweaver's forehead.
Yeah,
And then
I was specifically proud there for not doing that because like yeah, I'm not just not gonna jump on him, but I'm gonna take like a high ground position there, like the little boxes.
Right. But that only matters if you are looking for something that you need to dance around, like a sleep dart or a nade or something.
And I didn't
like
have
that.
to.
Right,
Yeah.
you didn't have to. So you need to land directly. In fact, the opposite is true, where if you don't land directly on him, he's just going to live. The staging is good. The staging is good. Good. See, this is good. This is good because you were deliberate. You get on. Obviously, the jump goof up there is a big thing. Like, let's not pretend that that's not a big deal. Okay. You
Yeah.
hit your head in the roof. You needed to get the landing damage here. Okay. Not the end of the world here. I probably would have stayed on the Sojourn as well, but that's okay as well. Is chasing the Kiriko here is fine. The bubble is good. You force Suzu. You stay zapping her. You back out. You zap what you can because the Kiriko is no longer accessible. Then you're low. You pursue the kill. That's it. Like these notes, there is nothing like fancy about that. It just was good, honest Overwatch, you know, and you win. You force CDs. You force. You got the kill. It's fine. Get her. Like that's where you could absolutely jump her. You know you're not going to go for backline right now. They're too far away. Kill the Tracer. She's got no recall. You kill her.
Yeah, I would never do that, but yeah, that's true.
It's because like you can't write off targets because like I guarantee she only has one blink. Oh, she has nothing. Holy days. She's dead. She's absolutely dead right here. She's dead.
Yeah, okay.
Just because the backline isn't available. That's why, right? There's no staging available. Your backline can't follow up, so instead kill.
And they're not going to become available
Exactly.
in the next 13 seconds.
Exactly. Obviously, a little bit of a. It's a tough one for you, right? Because it's like, they took all that time to clear me out of my flank. That's okay. Because in the meantime, that Ram had to use Nemesis form. They used Pedal. They used Lunge. They used Vortex. And also...
And we got to kill.
And you got to kill. And all that time, and then now you get the angle right back again. So this is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, get her. Oh! That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. This is what we talk about with mechanics. You see it again?
Yeah, I just lose her. True.
You just lose her.
Where does she even go?
She slid up top here, and this is where you. This is where, ironically, you did need to be considering the high ground here, right? Or even consider not even pursuing. Actually, jump the life over, say screw him. You know, whatever that. You know. Yeah, this is fine. There's the Bastion. This is what I'm talking about when people go Bastion. Like, it makes no sense to go Bastion in this situation. You guys have Widow, Cass, Ana, Kiriko. Oh, this is a war crime. Okay, first off, who should you be going for here? Find the periphery, right? Find the periphery. Find the isolated target. Not only because it's safer, right? But also because he's more killable. Because if you go for him here, Bash and Kiri have to go backwards to help, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're here, the Lifeweaver is already looking this direction. Second thing here, if you are going to go here, you probably should retake high ground. Because remember, you need to be setting up for your next engage. By resetting and going back to your team, it means that you're not in a position to actually do anything with your next bubble. You see that?
Yeah.
Retake the angle. Retake the angle and then go in with your primal.
Yeah, and here I just wanted to touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And this is like, you know, obviously a really tricky situation because you really can't leave. I like the HP management with the Bastion. You're not waiting until you're 1 HP to jump out. I think that's smart. It allows you to be healed back up to full sooner. And I don't mind this, but I would be at least turning around to double check because obviously Lifeweaver and Tracer were accessible and you just didn't know. So that's where, like, you could have killed that Tracer. You could have probably killed the Lifeweaver too as well. But yeah. Okay, so like let's take some notes here. Let's take some notes. What are you saying? What needs to be practiced?
Better teammates. Better patch.
Better teammates. Better patch.
Jumping on the outside. Or engaging on the outside.
Jumping, engaging, staging on the outside. Prioritize the angle of engage, sometimes even over the target. Think.
Yeah, bad targets if there's nothing else available.
I'm on defense, Hollywood.
And then urgency it was, right?
Urgency / mechanics of securing kills. I wouldn't just say urgency. Maybe that's not the best description. It's just more like, hey, kill the guy. Like, what do you need to do to kill a Kiriko? You need to land directly on her head. Ask yourself, do I have to bubble this so that I can pursue afterwards? If not, okay, then let's try and save bubble, use cover, then pursue afterwards. How do I kill an Ana? Well, I need to try and land on her, but quickly migrate to either a high ground drop off or quickly migrate to the periphery of my bubble, right? It's just like, it's like you need to think, this is where like your mechanics as Winston matter. It's not just doing the Winston thing, but knowing that the Winston thing changes depending on what you jump. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I think we covered about 2 of my document, but those were the important ones.
Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah, one more.
Yeah, sure.
Whenever I play with Mercy Lifeweaver, I feel like it's completely useless. They're not doing anything. Whenever I play against Mercy Lifeweaver, I feel like I'm completely useless. I can't do anything against that.
Yeah, yeah, because it's both. Everything that's happening is not happening within your vision. An Ana that sleeps you and Ana that heals you is directly obvious to you. The Mercy pocketing your DPS and allowing your DPS to put out more pressure than you otherwise would do, and or the Lifeweaver being able to save your other support that otherwise would have died, that's not immediately obvious to you because you don't have eyes in your butt cheeks. Okay?
And how do I play against that then? Do I try and focus them, or do I try and focus the DPS?
Well, that depends, doesn't it? Right? Like if the Lifeweaver is accessible, how many times in this review have we wanted you to go for Lifeweaver? You can kill Lifeweaver. If you land directly on him, the best a Lifeweaver can do is lunge then pedal, right? Which then exposes him to your next jump. Because you're going to have your jump back before he has his next lunge, and you'll be able to pursue. Okay? Mercy, generally I would not recommend pursuing a good Mercy. Instead, focus their DPS. But
it feels so shit. Because I jump, I tickle the DPS for like 4 seconds, and then I drop, and they lose like 50 HP.
Of course, because their value is their sustain. Whether it's sustaining a DPS at an off angle or sustaining themselves. Right, like a Mercy is very hard for you, but remember, the Mercy is especially one where her sustain is uniquely strong versus you. Her sustain isn't that good versus other people, right? You don't apply the DPS passive. You also don't have anything for people that fly in the air because you have no range whatsoever. But Mercy's sustain is terrible versus, like, say, a hit scan DPS, because a hit scan DPS, 50 healing per second minus the DPS passive is meaningless versus a Cassidy that's going to be hitting headshots, and also Cassidy can just shoot her out the sky.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a not a bad matchup for you. It's a feels bad matchup for you. It's one of those, you're playing into the equivalent of the Bastion character. It's just on the support hero.
Okay, yeah.
Makes sense. There's no way to sugarcoat it, unfortunately. One thing you can do with Mercy, though, is it does open up alt fire value, right? Because she can't heal herself. So if you alt fire, like let's say you jump DPS, she flies away, DPS is just getting hard pocketed. Sit there and zap the Mercy, she tries to fly away, alt fire, force her to reposition. And maybe if there's a follow-up from your team, she dies. So it's just something to consider. Any other questions?
Probably about 1 billion, but we'll keep this for another time.
That's fine.